Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today we have Josh Ferguson, and we're going to start something called a Safety Side Chat. Now, if you follow ISS, you know that we do a weekly What's Up Wednesday, which is sort of a one-sided address on a topic or an issue or maybe a tip. But we've been doing those for a few years now. And again, they're not interactive. And Josh, who's worked with us for quite a while now, made the recommendation that maybe we do something a little bit more interactive. And we've done these safety side chats internally so that our field safety advisors can meet one another through our internal website. But we thought, hey, why not do something that we can share with the entire safety community? So, Josh, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you, Brent. It's an honor to be here with you and to serve ISS and the safety community.
Likewise, it's great. So, a little background. I've known Josh for a while now. I first met him when I was visiting a client facility in Naknek, Alaska, Bristol Bay. And it was right before the sockeye salmon season. And Josh and one other fellow were interns in the cannery processing facility at the time. So I met Josh and we exchanged information, and he went back to school in the fall. And down the road, somewhere along the line, Josh ended up going to work for us. And the rest is history. The last 4 or 5 years, Josh has worked for us on and off quite a bit. And what I'm really excited about now is that we're able to start to kind of move Josh from a field assigned role to more of a consulting role. And he's doing a great job because he has some qualities about him that are really unique. He's very intellectual. He's very well studied, and he's got great attention to detail. And when Josh presented this idea, I thought it was great because instead of me providing kind of a management perspective, Josh, who spent so much time in the North Slope of Alaska and all of the United States on construction projects, has a perspective of a field safety manager and kind of what it takes to be successful. So the first topic that we thought we would talk about is the topic of professionalism. Now, Josh, you and I just talked a little bit, and professionalism has many meanings and many interpretations. And if we've learned anything the last couple of years, especially coming out of COVID, is the world is changing and the way that we interact with one another is changing. So, I want to kind of get your perspective a little bit on professionalism from a safety advisor perspective when we put you out on a job site. So what does that mean to you? What approach do you use to kind of start out establishing credibility?
That's an excellent question, Brent. So first, when I show up on a job site and after going through orientation, meeting key personnel, setting receiving expectations, I'll go over the client's vision, values, and mission statement, and then I align myself with their values, and that helps kind of fit in with that company culture, and that helps to create an atmosphere of professionalism at the highest level. And then beyond that, I observe the culture of the site, of the individuals. You always see, kind of a general culture and then subcultures, and you try to fit in at the highest level and lead that professionalism by example.
That's a great point, and I think that that's something that many people fail to do, which is really to understand the culture of the company they're working for and how they can kind of wrap their way into it or mesh with that culture. That's huge. And you said something else that really stood out to me. Listen and observe. Instead of coming in trying to prove your credibility, I'm a safety guy, I'm the new safety manager on the job. Come in, observe, listen, learn, get to know people, and establish that credibility and set a really good example. I know we've talked a lot about the cop mentality versus the servant mentality. And how important do you think it is to be a servant to the people above in management and the craft in the field?
Oh, being a servant is the role of a safety professional. They say you hear a lot about different types of leadership, but what it all boils down to is it's all service. The higher up you go on the ladder, on the corporate ladder, the more of a servant you become, and the more people you have the opportunity to serve. And from a safety professional's perspective, you serve the craft. You do what you can to keep them safe, to educate them, and you also serve management and the C level, and you serve them by uh, being a resource to them, um, setting the example, helping them set that, be that example, and uh, and that's kind of the professionalism of a safety professional.
So really, you're a connectivity piece between the field and senior management, and part of that job as a safety leader is to bring both sides together, which is great. I think that's what builds culture. That's huge. How important is credibility for a safety professional when it comes to professionalism? How important is credibility?
Credibility is very important. But what's more important is how you get that credibility. You come in like you mentioned, you come in beating your chest. Oh, I'm the safety gorilla. Listen to me. Or do you come in and observe and listen and build relationships, um, and meet people at their human level. And it may take a little bit longer for that credibility and that relationship to galvanize, but it will last a heck of a lot longer, and it will make the job and just flow. It'll make it so much easier.
I agree with you. I've seen really successful projects and I've seen absolute disasters, and you can usually pinpoint the problem. And I think that what you just pointed on is one of the two key aspects of professionalism, which is approach. The other aspect I think is really, really important is integrity. It's saying what you're going to do and then doing what you said you're going to do. And that's an area that I find, people make commitments and they don't honor them. Have you recognized that being a major component of professionalism?
Yes, so integrity is huge. Doing what you're going to uh, doing what you said you would do, and if for some reason you have to break that commitment, how you approach that, like what you mentioned, the approach, how you approach, hey, I need some help with this. I've taken on this project or this task, and it's over my head, or hey, I have a gap here, um, and just asking for help and showing that humility, shows the human side of you. It shows the human side of us as safety professionals also. Um, Sometimes a safety professional is seen as kind of sterile, and showing that humility, showing that you're human, helps to build that bond and that relationship, and in turn enhances credibility, and all of that kind of wrapped together in a nice, neat professional package.
I agree that that's absolutely huge. And I think that humility and that vulnerability are areas that every leader should focus on, because it's not natural. We want to show strength. We want to exhibit strength. So last thing for me, Josh, and we'll wrap this up, is as safety professionals, we also have to draw a line in the sand. We want to build relationships, but we also have expectations and policies that have to be upheld. So I'll throw a scenario at you. It's Friday afternoon, and you get along really well with the craft. They love you. You're their favorite safety person they've ever had. And they come to you and they say, hey, Josh, we're going out after work today. We're going to grab pizza and beers in town. You want to join us? And I know it's kind of a tough scenario, but how do you handle that? And what do you think the best approach is?
So that's a great scenario to bring up, and all too common also. And so how I've handled those situations in the past is I try not to stay in the same town as the majority of the crew, especially not the same hotel. And if I am, asked out to dinner, come have pizza and beer with us. Usually I'll decline. There has been a couple occasions where I have gone out, I'll have a slice of pizza, and then I'll say, hey, I have somewhere to go. It's great hanging out with you guys. I'll see you tomorrow at work. And I go in my car, I drive back to where I'm staying, call it a night.
I have more stories that I could share with all of you than you have time for, of people not doing that and how it all turned out in the end. It's not a recipe that generally ends well. So, well, Josh, we appreciate your perspective, and I know we've talked about a couple more of these in the future. Appreciate you being with us today and taking the time to present your opinion or your view with everybody watching this, and we thank you.
Thank you, Brent. It's an honor to be here. And again, it's an honor to serve ISS and the safety community.
Likewise, we'll see you again soon.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.